You can't predict the future, but you can prepare for it. Arizona State University is building degrees for what's ahead, taught by world-class faculty who are shaping our future. Explore over 350 programs offered online at asuonline.asu.edu.
From lashes for days with the viral Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara to lift and color from their brilliant eye brightener, Thrive Cosmetics is the go-to for amplifying everyday looks. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
And away we go, episode 1347 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Monday, June 15th, 2026. Hope you had a nice weekend. It unfortunately did not include the DC Defenders of the UFL, the United Football League, winning a second consecutive UFL championship. They did lose to the Louisville Kings 27-20 at Audi Field in Washington, D.C. on Saturday in the 2026 United Bowl, which is the UFL's Super Bowl. Although the MVP of the game was Kings running back Ian Wheeler, a product of Howard University in Washington, D.C. But also winning a championship on Saturday was the New York Knicks. They won their first NBA title since 1973, a 94-90 win at the San Antonio Spurs on Saturday night to win the best-of-7 NBA Finals, 4-1. There's a lot to take from the Knicks winning the NBA title, but from a DC perspective, here's what most stands out to me. James Dolan now has won an NBA title. James Dolan, he is the executive chairman and chief executive officer of Madison Square Garden Sports Corp, MSG Sports, which features the New York Knicks and New York Rangers. James Dolan has been regarded as one of the worst owners in sports. He's been regarded as like the Dan Snyder of the NBA, and yet Dolan now has won an NBA title. This would be like the Dan Snyder-owned Washington Redskins / Washington football team / Washington Commanders winning a Super Bowl. Never happened. Never came close to happening, but the James Dolan-owned Knicks just won the NBA title. Hello and welcome to this Monday installment of the Al Galdi podcast, in which we talk Washington Commanders on every episode, no matter the time of year. And next segment, an expansive segment on our team, is I'll react to the latest from San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Ayuk on Instagram and his quest to join Washington. Discuss a key development for unrestricted free agent receiver Stephon Diggs regarding him potentially being signed by Washington. And provide analysis of comments from offensive pass game coordinator David Raih, quarterbacks coach DJ Williams, and running backs coach Anthony Lynn on quarterback Jaden Daniels and Washington's offense with David Blau as offensive coordinator. We don't often hear from the likes of Raih, Williams, and Lynn. Lots of good stuff from them in sessions with reporters this past Wednesday, as that audio just became available in recent days. And also on the show, breakdowns of the Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles weekends. The Nats over the weekend won a 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners at Nationals Park. The O's over the weekend lost a 3-game series against the San Diego Padres at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. And in our quest for 2,000 ratings of the podcast, if you on Apple Podcasts, give the podcast a 5-star rating. On the podcast, we'll read whatever you write in writing a review of the podcast, but the review can include you saying something about sports. You don't just have to write about the podcast. From Murph on Apple Podcasts, writes Murph, great pod, Al. This time of year separates the men from the boys. And that's not a reference to that BA video. This time of year, many pods are taking days off. Not Al Galdi. Keep up the amazing work. Well, thank you very much for that, Murph. As Bill Belichick, as New England Patriots head coach, famously chanted during the Pats Super Bowl championship parade in February 2017, no days off. Do you remember that? No days off.
Let me tell you, these players, they worked harder than any team I've ever coached. They came to work every day, and there were no days off. No days off. No days off.
And what made that so great was that it was the normally stoic Bill Belichick in his monotone voice leading thousands of people in a chant. So out of character for our guy Bill, right? No days off. Actually, over the summer, we'll be taking a few days off, but not too many. If/when the Washington Commanders with Dan Quinn as head coach win a Super Bowl, what chant will he lead at the Super Bowl championship parade? What phrase will Quinn have all of us as fans chanting? In that space. Maybe we'll all be chanting, in that space. I could see that, right? In that space. In that space. He loves that phrase, right? Dog-ass competitor. I mean, we love that phrase on this podcast, right? That might be my favorite Dan Quinn phrase, dog-ass competitor. Maybe we would all be chanting dog-ass competitor. I don't know. What phrase will Dan Quinn have us chanting at the Washington Commanders Super Bowl championship parade? Let that sink in with him as head coach. Speaking of Quinn, this from T. Kennedy on X on this past Wednesday's show, episode 1344, wondering what Quinn will do regarding designating captains for the 2026 regular season. Quinn, for each of his first two regular seasons as Washington head coach, has had a weekly game captain system, basing captains on game-specific matchups and how guys have been playing and how guys have been practicing and how guys have been behind the scenes. I am not a big fan of the weekly game captain system, of the rotating captains. I would prefer that Quinn name captains for the entire regular season, and if a captain gets injured and is out for a substantial period of time, then you name another captain in the injured captain's place. But Quinn does seem to like the rotating captains. Writes T. Kennedy, rotating captains is asinine and diminishes its meaning. I understand that many people can have leadership qualities, but there is always an ultimate leader or a select few in a group. Thank you for that, T. Kennedy. Agreed. Rotating captains also opens you up to embarrassment because inevitably you're going to go with a captain who has a bad game or for whom something especially bad happens in a game. Take it back to this past November 9th. Washington's 44-22 loss to the Detroit Lions at Northwest Stadium. Interior defensive lineman Daron Payne in the second quarter was ejected for throwing a punch at Lions receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. The NFL the next day, November 10th, announced that Payne had been suspended without pay for one game. Now, in fairness to Daron Payne, he in an Instagram post on November 11th had video of St. Brown clearly throwing a punch at Payne a few plays prior to Payne throwing a punch at St. Brown, who did not receive a penalty despite throwing the punch right in front of an official. And we on November 14th learned that the NFL had fined St. Brown $12,172 for throwing that punch at Payne. So Payne throwing the punch at St. Brown was understandable, but Payne still should not have done that. He got ejected and got suspended, and the kicker, Daron Payne was one of Washington's three captains for that game. The rotating captain system. Will that this coming regular season again be in effect for Washington? Well, this Sunday, June 21st, is both the first day of summer and is Father's Day, and each is a reason to go to quince.com/Galdi. Quince. It makes ordering clothes so easy. Refresh your wardrobe for summer and or get your dad something that he'll really like by going to quince.com/Galdi for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. I recently got new shorts from Quince. Sand dune colored cotton chino drawstring shorts. They look and feel great, and ordering the shorts took minutes. I right away was able to figure out the right size. One of the best things about Quince is that everything is priced at 50 to 80% less than what you'd find with similar brands. How? Well, Quince works directly with ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality, not brand markup. Everything is designed to last and make getting dressed easy. Refresh your everyday with luxury that you'll actually use. Go to quince.com/Galdi for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns, now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Galdi. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Galdi. Look, choosing life insurance is tricky. Heck, life insurance as a topic can be uncomfortable, but Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 4,000 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Al Galdi. That's ethos.com/Al Galdi. Ethos.com/Al Galdi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary.
Quick question for parents. When was your child's last eye exam? Myopia, or nearsightedness, is becoming more common in kids, and it's not just about needing stronger glasses. If myopia continues to progress untreated, it may increase the risk of more serious vision complications later in life. The good news? An eye doctor can help identify myopia early and recommend options designed to help manage it over time. One of those options is Essilor Stellest lenses. Stellest lenses are designed specifically for children and are part of an approach to myopia management that corrects their vision while supporting eye health as their eyes continue to grow. They look like regular eyeglasses, but they're purpose-built for young wearers. Every child's vision is different, which is why starting with a professional eye exam matters. If you have concerns or even just questions, your eye doctor can guide you through what solution is best for your child. Clear vision today can help support your child's future, and it all starts with an eye exam. Visit Essilor.com to learn more about Stellest lenses and to find an Essilor expert eye care professional near you. That's ESSILOR.com.
We, on this past Friday's show, episode 1346, got excellent perspective on the saga of San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk in speaking with Sterling Bennett, San Francisco 49ers insider for 95.7 The Game in San Francisco and host of the 49ers Access podcast. And I, at the beginning of that segment, wondered whether the coming weekend would be as the previous weekend was when it came to Aiyuk expressing his desire to join the Washington Commanders. Well, we did not even have to wait until the weekend. Aiyuk on Friday on Instagram posted 2 photos of himself in an apparent velour tracksuit in the back of a messy van with the location for the photos marked as Washington, D.C. Now, you on Instagram can post a location without it being true. So we don't know for sure that he was in D.C., but he said that he was in D.C. We also don't know for sure when those photos were taken, as Friday was a brutally hot day in the D.C. area, and yet this guy posted photos of himself in a tracksuit. But the caption for one of the photos was, quote, "How could you cross me?" end quote. So yet another apparent shot at the Niners. Aiyuk on Sunday posted an Instagram video of him dancing in a white robe with the message, quote, "coming to an end zone near you," end quote. However, Aiyuk on Friday deleted the 2 Instagram videos in which he clearly ripped the Niners. The June 7th video, in which he equated the Niners not wanting to release him to a kid who has misbehaved, quote, "running from the belt," end quote, in the video in which he told the Niners to stop acting like, quote, "a female dog," end quote, and to stop acting like, quote, "a little cat," end quote, and the June 9th video in which he called the Niners, quote, "stupid," end quote, "dumb," end quote, for paying him millions of dollars, although he in the video kept saying 2027 when he should have been saying 2026. What exactly is determining the social media behavior of Brandon Aiyuk right now is anyone's guess. In the meantime, unrestricted free agent receiver Stefon Diggs, he now is in the clear from NFL insider Adam Schefter of ESPN on Friday afternoon in a post on X, quote, "The NFL closed out its review of the matter involving Stefon Diggs and his former chef. It said there was insufficient evidence to support a finding of a personal conduct policy violation," end quote. From NFL insider Ian Rappaport of NFL Network on Friday afternoon in a post on X, quote, "The NFL notified free agent receiver Stefon Diggs today that it concluded its investigation and there is insufficient evidence to support a finding of a personal conduct policy violation," end quote. Diggs on May 5th was found not guilty of felony strangulation and misdemeanor assault and battery in a 2-day trial regarding a December 2025 incident with his former personal chef. One of the reasons that Stefon Diggs has remained a free agent was the possibility of discipline from the NFL. Well, now we know that no discipline is coming. Is Washington signing him coming? Here's the way I look at this. There with Diggs is less upside than there is with Brandon Aiyuk, but there is more certainty The 2026 season will be Diggs' age 33 season. He suffered a torn ACL in his right knee in October 2024 while playing for the Houston Texans, but he last season was good in playing for the AFC champion New England Patriots. Diggs, in playing in all 17 of the team's regular season games, had 85 receptions for 1,013 yards and 4 touchdowns on 102 targets and registered a receiving success rate of 68.6, the best of his NFL career. He, for the Pats, was on his best behavior. We got great intel on that on episode 1329 of this podcast, and speaking with New England Patriots insider Mike DeBate of SI.com. And Diggs, of course, is a local. Went to Our Lady of Good Counsel High School in Olney, Maryland, and then went to the University of Maryland. It does sound odd saying that there's more certainty with Stephon Diggs than there is with Brandon Ayuk, considering that Diggs is looking at being on his 4th team in 4 seasons and is entering his age 33 season. But yeah, there is more certainty with Diggs than there is with Ayuk. Diggs last season showed that he has recovered from the torn ACL and showed that he can be big in the growth of a young quarterback. Mike DeBate on this podcast detailed how Diggs was key in the development of Pats quarterback Drake May. Well, as we await what more, if anything, Washington will do at receiver this offseason, some good stuff from Washington offensive assistant coaches and them being made available to the media this past Wednesday, June 10th. That audio has emerged in recent days, so I wanted to go through the best of what was said. It is rare that an NFL team allows for coaches other than the head coach and offensive and defensive coordinators to speak to reporters, but Washington last Wednesday made offensive assistants available to the media, and last Thursday made defensive assistants and special teams coordinator Larry Izzo available to the media. Washington's coaching staff revamping this offseason has included a lot in terms of offensive coaches. We have had the following promotions. David Blau was promoted from assistant quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator. David Raih was promoted from tight ends coach to offensive pass game coordinator. Darnell Stapleton was promoted from assistant offensive line coach to offensive line coach. Shane Tobe was promoted from offensive quality control coach to assistant offensive line coach. Jesse Madden was promoted from offensive quality control coach to assistant running backs coach. And Andre Coleman was promoted from offensive assistant to assistant receivers coach / returners coach. We have had the following hirings. DJ Williams was hired as quarterbacks coach. Danny Etling was hired as assistant quarterbacks coach. Ben Steele was hired as tight ends coach. Brian Stolt was hired as offensive quality control coach. We have had Wes Welker going from being a personnel assistant who had been focusing on defense and special teams to being an offensive assistant. And we've had the following demotion. Anthony Lynn, he was demoted from run game coordinator / running backs coach to just running backs coach. A lot of change for Washington's offensive staff. In fact, the only Washington offensive assistant who is in the exact same role that he was in this past season is receivers coach Bobby Ingram. He has been Washington's receivers coach since March 2023, was hired by the team when Ron Rivera was head coach. So David Blau, he's just 30. The 2026 season will be just his 3rd season as a coach. He spent the 2024 and 2025 seasons as Washington's assistant quarterbacks coach. He spent the 2019 through 2023 seasons as an NFL quarterback, entered the NFL in May 2019 as an undrafted free agent out of Purdue with the Cleveland Browns. He had multiple stints with the Detroit Lions, including the 2021 season when Anthony Lynn was the Lions' offensive coordinator. We on Wednesday had this back and forth between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Anthony Lynn.
You've been around David for a couple of years, but he's young. He's first time doing this coordinator job. But what have you kind of noticed about him taking on this challenge, and how is it from your perspective as a guy who's been around with knowing this guy is interesting but hasn't done this particular job before?
Well, I knew when he was my 3rd string quarterback in Detroit in 2021 that one day he would be here. I knew that, and he's been preparing for this for a long time. So I mean, we keep saying that he's young, but he's been preparing, and he's ready for this opportunity. So he is the right man for the job, and I expect him to get it done.
What stood out about him in Detroit?
You know, his football IQ. You know, we go hang out a couple of times because he's from Carrollton, Texas. I'm from Dallas, Texas. So I'd see him back home, and we meet at the park and we throw. And just the way he talk about football, the way he grew up around football, he understands the game very well. And so with his ability to communicate and relate to our quarterbacks and our young players, I think that's outstanding.
Nice to hear that from Anthony Lynn about David Blau. Washington reportedly interviewed 4 people beyond Blau for the team's offensive coordinator vacancy this past January. Among those people, David Raih. This was David Raih on Wednesday on David Blau. And then you hear a follow-up exchange between Ben Standig and Raih.
And like I have to say, like, you guys probably know Blau is like a sharp guy. He is a very sharp guy. I joke with him that he's like the pace setter. Like, he is just going, but he's also extremely collaborative, so it's all hands on deck. And I just respect his leadership. Like, he's got a great leadership style for, like, and it's really because he cares about people, and he believes that, like, if we put all our brains together, we're going to end up with a good result. And I'm not talking game day. I just mean with our process.
Processes, of course.
Yeah.
Go ahead, JP.
From the outside, when David is as young as he is and only been coaching now, this is his 3rd year, has not been a coordinator. Yep. You're elevated to a new spot. Elevated to a new spot. From the outside, people are like, "Oh God, what if something goes wrong? What happens if they stub their toe? Who do they lean on to do something?" Obviously, you guys have been coaching for a long time.
Yeah.
How, I guess, overreactionary does that sound to you?
No, I love that. I love that. So, like, let's talk about that. Ben. Like, here's the deal. Fortunately, the NFL moves so quickly that, in my opinion, like, you don't have a lot of time to think about what's happening or being talked about outside of here. If you want to be good, right? But I think age is a relative thing. Like, Blau is, he's a younger guy, but he is not new to the game. And I've talked to him about that before. Like, think of the experience of playing quarterback in the Big Ten that long, and then in the NFL and all those different schemes. Like, that hits like the superchargers on your experience. Right. So, like, he is not inexperienced by any stretch. And he's been around great coaches, and he's a guy who's a quick study and a quick read, and he pays attention and he learns, and he's also very collaborative. So he's it's awesome. You definitely feel more like you're working with him, if that makes sense. Sure. And then, yes, it just helps that he's super sharp. It makes things very efficient.
I tell you, the extent to which people rave about David Blau really is something. Other than maybe Kevin O'Connell, no young Washington assistant has been talked about the way that David Blau has been talked about since Sean McVay. And Blau, at 30, became the youngest person to be hired as Washington offensive coordinator since the Washington Redskins in January 2014 announced having promoted 28-year-old tight ends coach Sean McVay to offensive coordinator. But that question that we just heard from Ben Standig to David Raih speaks to the unique nature of Washington's offensive coaching staff revamp this offseason. You think about what has gone down. General manager Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn disliked the offense enough to part with key coaches like offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury and offensive line coach Bobby Johnson, and yet promoted a number of people beneath Kingsbury and Johnson. Very odd. As for the new offense, so David Blau's final NFL season was 2023, spent it working under then Lions offensive coordinator and current Chicago Bears head coach Ben Johnson. That's a big part of why there is this expectation that Blau, as Washington offensive coordinator, is going with a Ben Johnson style offense. And now, among the characteristics that we're expecting for David Blau's offense is a rushing offense that incorporates more zone running, with which we became familiar with Kyle Shanahan is Washington Redskins offensive coordinator for the 2010 through 2013 seasons, and Sean McVay is Skins offensive coordinator for the 2014 through 2016 seasons. We on Wednesday had this exchange between Ben Standig and Anthony Lynn, and then you'll hear a follow-up exchange between Mitch Tischler of Monumental Sports Network and Lynn.
If there is a little more zone blocking this year compared to the past, what does that do for the run game? How does that affect Bill or anybody else in terms of what they may be looking at?
It's a system that I've been in all my life, and it's been really good. Just coming up in the Shanahan system, running zones. You can rush for a lot of yards, and you can also throw for a lot of yards because it's hard to stop. And so I do like that. That's one of our major concepts this year, and that's Blau's part of his philosophy, and he's gonna make things He's gonna make things look simple. He's gonna make things simple for us, but complex for other people. I can tell you that. So our players can see that now in how we're installing. So looking forward to it.
Do you like the idea of running some offense from under center, and how can that kind of help a run game? How can that help a running back in the run game?
Well, it helps a running back in the run game because it's a lot easier to see it from 7.5 than 5. And I think it helps to run action. And the play fakes and things like that. And quarterback has time to turn his back and get his eyes back around. So it plays into that philosophy. There's a lot of philosophies out there, but I like the one that we're in.
Yeah, Anthony Lynn knows all about rushing offense that incorporates a lot of zone running. He was the 49ers assistant head coach / running backs coach from February 2022 to February 2024, working under Niners head coach Kyle Shanahan. And know this about Washington's presumed RB1, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. He, for the 2025 regular season, was number 7 among 49 qualified NFL running backs in yards per carry on zone runs. This per fantasy points data. He's a rookie, was really good on zone runs. Much more from Washington offensive assistants in moments, but if you are a Washington Commanders fan, check out bgobsession.com, an outstanding site for discussion about the team, especially as we have arrived at the week of the 3-day mandatory minicamp. BG Obsession, or BGO, has been going strong since 2009. BG Obsession offers great contests, game day chats, and camaraderie. No politics, just football. Both old school and new school fans are welcome. Visit and join BGO at bgobsession.com. bgobsession.com, home to your burgundy and gold obsession. Lots of good detail from David Raih on Wednesday on the new offense, including what is being asked of Washington pass catchers. We on Wednesday had this exchange between Ben Standing and David Raih, and then you hear a follow-up back and forth between Mitch Tischler and Raih.
So as you're watching the competition play out now into training camp, as a guy who's going to have a lot to do with the game plan, what do you need to learn about each of these guys so that you know when to push the right buttons? Because like in 24, you guys seem to do that a lot, figuring out which receiver would work in a certain spot. How much do you have to learn about each of these guys as you're going through this to determine, okay, in this spot, we like this guy kind of deal?
I would say from truly this early in the process, what we want to see and train is the fundamentals of the whole route tree. And so I'm talking like how guys are snapping up, their angle cuts, their speed cuts, and how it's all timing up with the design of the system. And then once we do that and we get everybody, to their level best, it's really a matter of, all right, the competition is shaken out, and now we're playing with the guys who have earned the spots, and then we do the best we can to get them in position to succeed within the pass concepts.
How different will those pass concepts look kind of from last year to this year? Here's how Mitch Raih, David Raih, but everyone calls me Raih. So Mitch, because really I don't want to talk about scheme too much, but I think it's safe to say, like, ultimately, you want to see precision and timing, and it should look a certain way. Like, the footwork of the quarterback, the timing of the routes, and really what we're after always is creating catch and runs. I mean, just watching a game, man, that timing looked right, and that receiver hit it, and he's running through the break, and that's what we're constantly chasing in the pass game, and that has to do with the protection too up front. That's all tied together. Are there specific things that you'll see kind of from Jaden that will tell you, like, okay, we know he's picking this thing up and he's ready to run with this thing, as opposed to just kind of in the learning process?
Yes. And
I know I'm kind of boxing you in here a little bit. I'm sorry.
I'm just thinking so I can give you because. Yeah, like Mitch, we love football, and that is what we do all day. So, okay, check this out. With Jaden and the quarterbacks, it all starts with their feet, right? And DJ, who's standing right over there, love having him here. Like, really, he's training it the right way. And it comes back to working your craft, which means literally an individual period. building the muscle memory for all the different footworks that tie into the passing game, so that ultimately you see that precision on game day. And that's what Blau wants, and he's like set that vision, and truly like going through all the film we kind of studied in the off season, that's what you see. You see great timing, you see catch and runs, you see guys working through progressions, and it's been so fun.
And Jaden Daniels has a new quarterbacks coach in DJ Williams. DJ Williams was a quarterback for Grambling State for the 2011 through 2014 seasons. He spent 5 seasons, 2019 through 2023, as an offensive assistant for the New Orleans Saints. Then spent 2 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons, served as offensive assistant / assistant quarterbacks coach for the Falcons in the 2024 season, and served as quarterbacks coach for the Falcons in the 2025 season. And he, of course, is the son of Doug Williams, who is Redskins quarterback, was the MVP of Super Bowl 22, and who still works for the team. He's the Commander's senior advisor to the general manager. We on Wednesday had this exchange between Ben Standig and DJ Williams, and then you heard a follow-up back and forth between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Williams.
Just in terms of when you get to know the player and within this new offense, what were some of the things that you wanted to help him do? Not that he needed to fix anything, but just, hey, it's a new deal. What are some of the things that you kind of working on with him to get him right for this?
The biggest thing is just understanding the intent of every single play, right? I think that's one of the things that D. Blau, has spearheaded and letting us know, like, hey, we want these players to understand the intent of every play, the why behind every play. That's been more so my job. Like I just told you, he's, one of the smartest players I've ever coached. And so just letting him understand it, or not letting him, but teaching him the intent of every play, and then letting him and his talent do the rest, I think it's been one of the coolest things that we've done for him.
What's the biggest thing you've learned about him in this short time that you've worked with him?
I just said it, that he's like, one of his best attributes is that he's smart. I think that is his best attribute. It's his football knowledge, just his natural instincts, but also just the way he thinks, how quick he can process. I think that's one of the coolest things about him. Obviously, from the outside looking in, right, you see the speed, you see the arm, you see, the playmaking ability, but the thing that's not talked about the most is how smart he is. From the neck up, man, that's like he is second to none.
So taking that and applying that to this offense, how can that elevate his game, even just the offense in general?
I think that's the goal, is to all these quarterbacks, right? All these guys are smart. Like Marcus is a veteran who's been in the league for a while, and he's played in a bunch of different offenses, right? Sam has been in the league going on 3 years now, and he's played in this offense, and he went to 2 schools in college and played in different offenses. And then you got Ethan coming in, who's been in 2 systems as well in college. And so all these guys are smart, and so we just want to put that on display and allow them, all right, to really unlock their brain and show what they can do, all right, from a neck-up standpoint playing quarterback. We know the talent is there, right? But I think when we can, like, give them things to let them unlock their, their superpower in their brain, I think that's one of the coolest things about what we're doing.
I thought that DJ Williams came off well on Wednesday. Came off like a guy who could be an offensive coordinator or even head coach at some point. I especially like this from Williams, how he addressed Washington going with more under center snaps for Jaden Daniels. We on Wednesday had this back and forth between Mitch Tischler and DJ Williams.
You go from kind of watching tape stuff from last year to what this offense is going to look like now. How much can kind of taking some of those snaps under center help Jaden, and in what ways will that help this offense?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, everybody talks about, like, the under center stuff. Like, I was saying just earlier, like, man, when you learn how to play quarterback, one of the first things you do is take a snap from under center. I think it's such a big deal just because of, the league has gone to such a pass-heavy league that we've gotten away from, the under center stuff and just been more shotgun, drop back, all that stuff like that. But we're just getting back to the fundamentals. That's it. Like, we're just 15 years ago, like, people were under center on 3rd and 8, dropping back. Like, you watch old Brett Favre film, you watch old Doug Williams film, like, Coach Joe Gibbs, they're under center on 3rd and 10, dropping back. And so, yeah, man, we're just getting back to the fundamentals. That's all.
Is it kind of
stuff live, not on
Is it kind of like riding a bike, though, getting back under center? Because Jaden hasn't been under center a lot in the pros. Didn't do a lot at LSU.
I would say it's similar too, right? When you haven't ridden a bike in a couple of years, you get back on it and you just, once you get your groove, though, you're going. All right, but we don't take it for granted, though. That's one, that's like we always preach that ball is life. All right, and that's like literally the first thing that we do when we come out on the field, right, is QB center exchange. And that's everywhere I've been, right, from high school to college to pro. Like, you go out there early with your centers and you get snaps, and you start with under center snaps. You never start with gun snaps. And so we're just getting back to the fundamentals, but we do not take it for granted.
Well, Jaden Daniels per NFL Pro has just 18 under center pass attempts over his 2 NFL regular seasons, 14 in 2024 and 4 in 2025. Daniels per Warren Sharp of Sharp Football Analysis has just 31 under center dropbacks over those 2 NFL regular seasons. But you don't spend a number 2 overall pick in an NFL draft on a quarterback who you fear can only be good in certain ways, right? I'd be very surprised if Daniels struggles with being under center more. And a big part of Washington's new passing offense is David Raih. We on Wednesday had this back and forth between Commanders insider J.P. Finley of NBC4 Washington and Raih.
Can we just talk a little about your role more specifically? Like, what does passing game coordinator mean during the week and then on game day?
Yeah. JP.
Hey, buddy. Bro. It was just you and I doing this years ago?
Yeah. Guys, my first interview. I mean, whatever. Look, that's why I'm like mesmerized by Blau also, because we all have a different path. Mine is like way more, all right, I'm going to do every single job there is, for a couple of years, and then finally feel comfortable to stand up here. But yeah, anyways, so the role, first of all, I truly mean this, like, it starts with DQ. He set a vision and an energy in the building that is like in the present moment, and it is about competition, collaboration, like you guys are hearing it, I'm sure, because we are hitting it every day. And then Blau has got a vision for the offense and a leadership style that's really bringing us all on board. And then specifically my role, like at this point I've coached across all the positions, right, which is so cool because it provides a stimulation like every day to help provide clarity for our execution across all the rooms. And that's really what it is. So my day is number one, to execute the vision. Blau is set. And so that means, off season, we spend a tremendous amount of time, building the read progressions. Spent a ton of time with DJ on the read progressions, the protection schemes with the O-line, which ties into the footwork of the quarterback, which then ties into, the footwork of the perimeter, and then how we click through all the progressions. And ultimately, you train all that, you spend time in each room, with the O-line, then with the perimeter, then with the quarterbacks, right? And then cleaning up everything we can. And you get on the field, and it's about, building the muscle memory with all those different movements. So on game day, you actually see precision, ball coming out, catching and running on the perimeter. And that's what we're always chasing.
With that install and with that chase, are there like benchmarks along the way that you try to hit? Because this is all relatively brand new, right? Like, is it all eyes on, at Philly week 1, or is there mile markers along the way?
We, so we're early in the process, definitely. And I hear you, Moulet.
We could go.
Yeah. No, I can wrap up with this one. 625 Okay. Are there benchmarks? We're early in the process. Right. So right now we are training like the fundamentals and technique of every position. And, we're not totally playing real football out there right now, like as we're not in full pads and all that. But we are right now, the benchmark is fundamentals, technique, and timing. And that's really what we're doing. And then you guys know on the arcing theme is the competition at every position, which is like really driving everything.
And the competition will continue this week as Washington has its 3-day mandatory minicamp this Tuesday through Thursday, June 16th through the 18th. Hey, if you have a case, contact Chris Nace. He is the lead attorney for the Nace Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers, which has been a Washington, D.C. institution for decades and has been a proud sponsor of this podcast since its first year, 2021. The Nace Law Group is one of the premier medical malpractice firms in Washington, D.C. The Nace Law Group routinely represents people who have been catastrophically injured as a result of anesthesia error, emergency room error, failure to diagnose/improper diagnosis, an inebriated medical professional, medication error, surgical error, wrongful amputation, treatment against a patient's wishes. Yes, all of these things do happen. And if one has happened to you or someone who you care about, know that the Nace Law Group is there for you. It is focused on getting justice for clients, many of whom have lives that have changed because of the negligence of others. The Nace Law Group treats its clients with dignity and compassion and aims to find resolutions that protect clients and their families as quickly as possible so that they can focus on healing. Call 202-902-7611 or visit Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com and tell the Nace Law Group that Al Galdi sent you. That's 202-902-7611 or Washington, D.C., injurylawyers.com, and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. The Nace Law Group, Accident and Injury Lawyers. Yet another series win for the Washington Nationals. They now are 9-2-1 over their last 12 series. The Nats over the weekend won a 3-game series against the Seattle Mariners at Nationals Park. Friday night, a 10-2 loss to the Mariners in a game for which the start was delayed for 2 hours and 11 minutes due to rain. But Saturday, an 8-3 win over the Mariners, and Sunday afternoon, a 10-1 win over the Mariners. The Nats in MLB's 2026 regular season now are 37-35 with a run differential of plus 13. 14-21 at home versus 23-14 on the road. The Nats offense over the weekend, bad in game 1, but terrific in games 2 and 3. That 10-2 loss to the Mariners on Friday night, the Nats were bad offensively, just 2 runs, just 4 hits, which were 2 home runs and 2 singles. No walks, no at-bats with runners in scoring position. The Nats got worked by Mariners starting pitcher Bryce Miller. He allowed 2 runs in 8 innings with 7 strikeouts versus no walks. But the 8-3 win over the Mariners on Saturday, the Nats were very good offensively. 8 runs, 10 hits, which were a home run, a triple, a double, and 7 singles. 3 walks, 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And the 10-1 win over the Mariners on Sunday afternoon, the Nats were great offensively. 10 runs, 14 hits, which were 2 home runs, 5 doubles, and 7 singles. 2 walks, 5 for 14 with runners in scoring position. This was yet another instance of the Nats beating good pitching. The Nats got to Mariners starting pitcher Emerson Hancock, who allowed 6 runs in 4 innings. Hancock came into the game with an ERA of 2.74 over 13 games all starts in this regular season, in which the Nats are number 1 in MLB in runs scored at 392. Know this. The Nats' franchise record for runs in a regular season is 873 in 2019. The 2026 Nats are on pace for 882 runs. Record 873. 2026 Nats on pace for 882. The 2026 Nats, with their tiny payroll in this season number 1 of a restarted rebuild, are threatening the franchise record for runs in a regular season, a record set by the best team in franchise history, what was a win-now, high payroll-having World Series championship team. What the Nats are doing with their new analytics-based process, improved coaching, and promising young players is one of the best stories in MLB. A monster weekend for the Nats' best hitter, James Wood. He was the Nats' number 1 batter in each of the 3 games in the series. The 10-2 loss to the Mariners on Friday night. Wood, as the Nats' starting left fielder, went 2 for 4 with a solo homer and a single, and he had an outfield assist. The 8-3 win over the Mariners on Saturday. Wood, as the Nats' starting right fielder, went 1 for 4 with a single, a walk, and a stolen base. And the 10-1 win over the Mariners on Sunday afternoon. Wood, as the Nats' starting DH, got on base 4 times. He went 3 for 4 with a solo homer, an RBI double, a single, and a walk. James Wood for this regular season now has 20 home runs and now has an OPS of 972, which is comprised of a 414 on base percentage and a 558 slugging percentage. He is having a 500 season, which is very rare. Very encouraged by what we saw from Dylan Cruz over the weekend. What he is, what he will be, big topics of him having disappointed since the Nats took him with the number 2 overall pick in the 2023 MLB first-year player draft out of LSU. But the Dylan Cruz who we saw over the weekend is the Cruz he was drafted to be. The 10-2 loss to the Mariners on Friday night. Cruz, as the Nats starting right fielder and number 5 batter, went 1 for 3 with a solo homer. Cruz in in the Nats' one-run eighth had a leadoff homer to left center field to cut the Nats deficit to 9-2. Garbage time, yes, but the homer per StatCast went a projected 440 feet and had an exit velocity of 109.5 miles per hour. The 8-3 win over the Mariners on Saturday. Cruz, as the Nats starting center fielder and number 6 batter, went 1 for 4 with an RBI single, and he had some terrific base running, and he made a standout defensive play. Cruz, in the Nats' 3-run first, had a 2-out RBI single to left field for a 3-0 Nats lead. Cruz, in the top of the 5th, made a leaping, backhanded catch as he crashed into the outfield wall for a flyout by former Nats outfielder Victor Robles. And Cruz, in the Nats' 3-run 7th, scored all the way from first base on Jose Tena's 2-out RBI single to center field on a 1-2 pitch for an 8-3 Nats lead. Cruz made a terrific head-first spinning slide into home plate. And the 10-1 win over the Mariners on Sunday afternoon. Cruz, as the Nats starting right fielder and number 3 batter, went 1 for 5 with a double and an RBI groundout, and he made a standout defensive play. Cruz, in the top of the first, made a leaping catch on which he crashed into the outfield wall on a flyout by Julio Rodriguez. Cruz, in the Nats' 5-run 4th, had a leadoff double to left field. Dylan Cruz now in this latest stint at the major league level off being recalled from AAA Rochester on May 19th. 88 plate appearances, OPS of just .564. Not good, but he's doing well defensively and as a base runner, and hopefully the offensive production is starting to come. But contributions from so many other Nats over the weekend. The 8-3 win over the Mariners on Saturday. C.J. Abrams, as the Nats starting shortstop and number 4 batter, went 3 for 4 with 2 RBI singles and another single. Dalen Lyle, on what was Dalen Lyle bobblehead day at Nationals Park, was the Nats starting left fielder and number 5 batter, went 1 for 4 with an RBI triple. Luis Garcia Jr., as the Nats starting first baseman and number 2 batter, went 1 for 3 with a 2-run homer. And Nats manager Blake Butera pinch hit for Garcia with Andres Chaparro to begin the bottom of the 7th against lefty Mariners relief pitcher and former Nats relief pitcher Jose A. Ferrer, and Chaparro smashed a leadoff first pitch double off the warning track in left field in what ended up being a 3-run 7th for the Nats, and yet another successful pinch hitting decision by Butera. The 10-1 win over the Mariners on Sunday afternoon. Keibert Ruiz, as the Nats starting catcher and number 5 batter, went 3 for 4 with a solo homer, an RBI single, and another single. Jacob Young, as the Nats starting center fielder and number 9 batter, went 2 for 4 with an RBI double and another double, did commit a fielding error. Dalen Lyle, as the Nats starting left fielder and number 6 batter, went 1 for 4 with an RBI double. On and on we can go about how good this Nats offense is. And it is stunning that this offense is as good as it is. The Nats starting pitching in the team winning this 3-game series against the Mariners at Nationals Park over the weekend was mixed. The 10-2 loss to the Mariners on Friday night. Zach Littell was bad for the first time in 6 outings, and he had a blow-up outing. He allowed 5 runs in 1 2/3 innings despite throwing a lot of strikes, 56 pitches, 43 strikes, just 13 balls. So Littell tossed a perfect top of the first, but then unraveled in the top of the second, during which he allowed 5 runs on a home run, a triple, 2 singles, and a walk. The 8-3 win over the Mariners on Saturday. Cade Cavalli allowed 3 runs in 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, which were a home run and 3 singles, issued a hit by pitch, but he had 5 strikeouts versus no walks, 81 pitches, 52 strikes, 29 balls. So all 3 of the runs that Cavalli allowed came in the top of the 5th, during which he issued a leadoff full count hit by pitch of Dominic Canzone, gave up a 2-out full count RBI single by Mitch Garver to center field despite having had him down in the count at 1.02, and then gave up a 2-out 2-run homer by Colt Emerson to right field on an 0-2 pitch to tie the game at 3. Also in the inning was a 2-out throwing error by second baseman Nace Nunez, and him throwing across his body and making what was ruled an errant throw to first base in an attempt at a double play. Although the throw really wasn't that bad. It was a one-hop throw that first baseman Luis Garcia Jr. Absolutely could have caught. You know, Garcia is doing some really good things as a batter, but the defense continues to not be the greatest. Cavalli in that Mariners 3-run 5th threw a whopping 33 pitches. He began the outing by throwing 4 scoreless innings on just 48 pitches. He now, in this regular season, 15 games all starts, ERA of 3.98, whip of 1.39, strikeouts per 9 innings of 9.76. Solid, if not good stats, and he is doing what he is doing despite some bad luck. His BABIP allowed, batting average on balls in play allowed, is .349. That's high. League average is around 300. And the 10-1 win over the Mariners on Sunday afternoon, the Nats used an opener who was relief pitcher P.J. Poulin. He allowed 1 run in 1 inning. He, in the top of the first, gave up a leadoff swinging bunt single by Cole Young to the right side of the infield and gave up a one-out opposite field double by Josh Naylor to the left center field gap for a 1-0 Mariners lead. As also on the play was a fielding error by center fielder Jacob Young, who bobbled the ball and trying to corral it for a throw. And then starting pitcher Miles Mikolas came into the game as the Nats bulk pitcher, and he was great. He tossed 7 scoreless innings. He had 3 strikeouts versus no walks. He gave up just 3 hits, all of which were singles. He threw a lot of strikes, 83 pitches, 60 strikes, just 23 balls. And also with Mikolas was his velocity being superb. He, per StatCast, had an average four-seam fastball velocity of 94.9 miles per hour. Especially impressive considering that this is his age 37 season. And you look at Miles Mikolas in this regular season, he through April had an ERA of 8.23 over 7 games, including 4 starts. He, since the start of May, has an ERA of 3.32 over 8 games, including 2 starts. The turnaround of Miles Mikolas has been tremendous. This was Blake Butera during his post-game press conference on Sunday afternoon on Miles Mikolas. And then you hear a follow-up exchange between my co-host on the Nats Chat podcast, Nats insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com, and Butera.
Yeah, that was an unbelievable performance by him. What did he retire, like 13 in a row at one point? Man, it was just unbelievable stuff. Attacked the zone, didn't walk anybody. He's up to 97, sat 94, 95 most of the way. It was just an impressive performance, to say the least.
Is that a case where as it's going, you're like just hands off, just let him go?
Exactly. Yeah. And we obviously talk through our different scenarios and pitching plans and how we're going to use guys, but when someone's pitching the way he was and the offense was doing what they were doing, stay out of the way, let them go.
Okay, and this was some of Miles Mikolas' post-game session with reporters on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, today I felt really good. I was able to, get out there, stick to my game plan. We put some runs on the board, which gave me, the opportunity to go, a little bit deeper into that game, which was really nice.
Getting able to touch 97, how'd that feel?
It was good. I think I might have scraped it earlier this year, but, the stuff I've been working on mechanically, with the pitching coaches, with Simon's been really good. I've been feeling really good. All my stuff in the training room, the strength coaches, it's a full body of work, and everyone here has been great helping me, get back to where I want to be physically.
What have you been working on mechanically?
Just trying to stay in my backside a little bit better, not pushing out from the mound and kind of losing my center. Just letting everything work around my head and be a little bit more balanced and just kind of letting it rip.
The success you've had this season, how much of that do you attribute or maybe look at and say, hey, this is the old version of me, and how much of this is a willingness to try new ideas even this time?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think somewhere along the lines, my mechanics and, what I was doing, sometimes it happens really slowly and you don't realize it. And then like one day you wake up and you're like, I still feel good, but like it just doesn't seem like it's there. And, I think it also goes into the willingness to kind of change my routine a little bit. I've changed my workout routine a little bit, so I'm not lifting as much as I used to as I get older. Lifting maybe one time in between starts, kind of heavy instead of 2, so my body feels really fresh. And the whole staff here has been great about, getting me kind of on their program, like what they see and what they envision for me. And after a couple down years, was more than ready to listen to anything that they had to say. So, and everyone's been great.
I tell you, really good stuff there from Miles Mikolas, who came to the Nats off 3 consecutive bad seasons. So the Nats, this past February 11th, announced having signed Mikolas as a free agent to a 1-year contract, reportedly worth $2.25 million. So he came to the Nats having spent the previous 8 seasons with the St. Louis Cardinals, struggled over the 2023 through 2025 regular seasons, registering an ERA of 4.98 and an ERA plus of just 85. But here we are now. We heard him mention the Nats pitching coach Simon Matthews, the Nats with their new process doing some very good things with Miles Mikolas. The Nats relief pitching in the team winning this 3-game series against the Mariners at Nationals Park over the weekend. Bad in Game 1, but good in Games 2 and 3. The 10-2 loss on Friday night. 3 Nats relievers combined to allow 5 runs in 7 and a third innings. Among those relievers, Riley Cornelio, he allowed 3 runs in 4 and a third innings. Actually wasn't that bad. He, in the top of the 5th, allowed 3 runs on 2 singles, 2 walks, and a run-scoring wild pitch, but he otherwise did pitch well, including tossing a perfect top of the 3rd, a scoreless top of the 4th, and a perfect top of the 6th. And the Nats early Saturday morning announced having optioned Cornelio to AAA Rochester just for the purpose of getting a fresh arm in. The 8-3 win over the Mariners on Saturday. 4 Nats relievers combined for 4 scoreless innings. P.J. Poulin tossed 2/3 of a scoreless and hitless inning. He, in the top of the 6th, retired each of the Mariners' first 2 batters, did then issue a 2-out walk, but he is back. The Nats on Saturday afternoon announced having recalled Poulin from AAA Rochester. That was the corresponding roster move to the Cornelio move. Orlando Revolta tossed 2/3 of a scoreless inning. He faced 3 batters and got 2 outs. Richard Lovelady tossed 2/3 of a scoreless inning despite giving up 3 singles and issuing a walk. And Brad Lord tossed 2 scoreless and hitless innings with 2 swinging strikeouts, came into the game in the top of the 8th with runners on first and second, no outs, and the Nats up 8-3, and he induced a 5-4-3 double play by Victor Robles, although Robles did roll an ankle and fell down and trying to run out of the batter's box, and Lord tossed a perfect top of the 9th. And the Nats, in their 10-1 win over the Mariners on Sunday afternoon, used just 1 pitcher beyond opener P.J. Poulin and bulk man Miles Mikolas. Clayton Beeter tossed a perfect top of the 9th with 2 strikeouts. Next up for the Nats is a 3-game series against the Kansas City Royals at Nationals Park. The Nats have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1 Monday evening at 6:45, Andrew Alvarez. Game 2 Tuesday evening at 6:45, Foster Griffin. Game 3 Wednesday afternoon at 1:05, Zach Littell. Hey, if you would like to grow your business or practice, consider advertising on this podcast, which just recently was the number 56 podcast in the country on Apple Podcasts in the U.S. football category. Podcast advertising works and is very affordable. Put the power of the pod to work for you. Get your message out there to thousands of successful people in the Washington, D.C. area. We'd love to have you on board. Email us to see what we can do for you. The email address is thealgaldipodcast@yahoo.com. Look, choosing life insurance is tricky. Heck, life insurance as a topic can be uncomfortable, but Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 4,000 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Al Galdi. That's ethos.com/Al Galdi. Ethos.com/Al Galdi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary.
Imagine buying your kid a toy only to find the batteries aren't included, or buying furniture but missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like. Fragmented, disconnected, and incredibly expensive. Odoo completely changes that. Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time, headaches, and money. Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com. That's odoo.com to learn more.
Big color, bigger savings. Sherwin-Williams Super Sale is here. Get 40% off paints and stains June 5th through the 11th with prices starting at $30.89. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
Well, the Baltimore Orioles' low point in MLB's 2026 regular season was being 8 games below 500 at 21-29. The O's then won 10 out of 14 games, but the O's since then have lost 6 of 9 games. The O's over the weekend lost a 3-game series against the San Diego Padres at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Friday night, a 7-3 win over the Padres, but Saturday, a 9-3 loss to the Padres, and Sunday afternoon, a 5-2 loss to the Padres. The O's in MLB's 2026 regular season now are 34-39. With a run differential of minus 33. I want to spend a few minutes discussing the Orioles manager, Craig Albernaz. So the 7-3 win over the Padres on Friday night, Samuel Basallo as the Orioles starting DH and number 5 batter went 1 for 4 with a 2-run homer. And Basallo, during a post-game session with reporters, said that he did not want to talk about the recent controversy with Craig Albernaz. Quote, "I don't want to get into that, but it's been fine. We are a team, so we are just focused on winning, and whatever happened. You just have to keep going and keep winning games," end quote. So this Basallo Albernaz thing again came up and now clearly was a thing. Albernaz, during his post-game session with reporters on Sunday afternoon, June 7th, seemed to question the toughness of Basallo, saying that he was learning, quote, "how to play through being nicked up when everything is checked out and everything is fine," end quote. I mean, that right there is the manager telling Basallo to toughen up. Albernaz, during his pregame press conference last Monday afternoon, June 8th, revealed that Basallo was dealing with a, quote, "bony growth," end quote, in the left wrist, and that had been bothersome for Basallo. Basallo, during a pregame session with reporters last Tuesday afternoon, June 9th, pushed back on this idea of having to learn to play through pain. Then Albernaz, during his pregame session with reporters last Wednesday afternoon, June 10th, got asked a bunch about this situation with Basallo. Then MASN Orioles analyst Jim Palmer, he on the MASN telecast of the Orioles game last Wednesday evening, basically said that Albernaz was in the wrong in the situation. And now we have Basallo during a post-game session with reporters this past Friday night not wanting to talk about the situation. A manager publicly saying that a key young player needs to toughen up does seem like a last resort. So I do wonder if Craig Albernaz behind the scenes has had conversations with Samuel Basallo about needing to toughen up, and Basallo just did not respond to those conversations, and thus Albernaz took to saying what he said publicly as a last resort. But, you know, this entire situation has been awkward and not necessary, and Jim Palmer saying what he said did not make Albernaz look good. Then came the 9-3 loss to the Padres on Saturday. Gunnar Henderson, he is the Orioles starting shortstop and number 2 batter, went 0 for 3 with a walk and a hit by pitch. Henderson, in the bottom of the 9th, drew a 2-out hit by pitch on his right side / lower right back by Padres relief pitcher Ron Marinaccio, who was ejected after a meeting of the umpiring crew on the infield grass, and that led to Padres manager and former Washington Nationals relief pitcher Craig Stammen getting ejected. The belief was that the hit by pitch from Marinaccio to Henderson was on purpose and in retaliation for Orioles starting pitcher Trey Gibson, who was struggling with his command, hitting Padres shortstop Xander Bogaerts on the head with a pitch in the top of the 5th. Bogaerts ended up leaving the game. Henderson, during his post-game session with reporters on Saturday evening, said that he was not happy about taking that hit by pitch, saying that the Padres had their chance during his plate appearance in the bottom of the 7th, but missed him as he drew a 2-out 7-pitch walk. But Craig Albernaz, he during his post-game press conference on Saturday evening, did not express any anger toward the Padres, saying, quote, "I'm not saying the ball to Gunnar was on purpose, but it was done the right way, and that's why there was no gripes from us, and Gunnar was fine with it and just took it to first base," end quote. Take a listen how differently each guy spoke of what happened. Here was Gunnar Henderson during his post-game session with reporters on Saturday evening.
I mean, I guess they were trying to make up for missing. They had their 2 opportunities in my previous at-bat and missed, so thought that should have been the end of it, but I guess they were trying to get payback, so I guess we're even now.
Were you expecting a little bit in the 9th, or did you think you wouldn't get it because the previous at-bat?
No, I thought it was done after the previous one, but yeah, I guess he can't hit me. He missed twice, so I don't know.
Is it frustrating going up there knowing that they might be trying to hit you, especially after what had happened that previous at bat?
I mean, you have an idea because it's just how it is. I mean, we hit somebody of theirs, and obviously weren't trying to, but it is what it is. And yeah, you have your opportunity to get it back, and they did and missed, so that should have been it. But it is what it is.
Okay, so Gunnar Henderson clearly not happy with being hit by that pitch, but this was Craig Albernaz during his postgame press conference on Saturday evening on the hit by pitch scenario.
Raih hit Bogarts in the head, and their dugout didn't like it at all. Obviously, it definitely wasn't intentional. The two seam that slipped out of his hand. I get there. Why they mad? I mean, ball hit him in the head and had to come out of the game. I'm not saying what the ball to Gunnar was on purpose, but it was done the right way. And that's why there was no gripes from us, and Gunnar was fine with it, and we just took it to first base.
Yeah, what you always want is a manager standing up for a player. Gunnar Henderson is a star player, albeit one who is not having a very good season, but Gunnar Henderson is a star player. Craig Albernaz right there contradicted what Henderson said about the hit-by-pitch scenario. Maybe Albernaz was not aware that Henderson was not happy. I mean, look, these hit-by-pitch scenarios can be silly and juvenile, no doubt, but it's not a good look for the manager to not publicly back a star player. So the Craig Albernaz, Samuel Basallo situation, the Craig Albernaz, Gunnar Henderson situation. I'm rooting for Craig Albernaz to do well as Orioles manager, but these last 8 days have not been good for him. The Orioles offense and the team losing this 3-game series against the Padres at Oriole Park at Camden Yards over the weekend was so-so. The 7-3 win over the Padres on Friday night, those were good offensively. 7 runs, 8 hits, which were 2 home runs and 6 singles, 7 walks, and the run total could have been even higher as the O's went just 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. The 9-3 loss to the Padres on Saturday, the O's were so-so offensively. They scored just 3 runs in large part due to going 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, but the O's totaled 10 hits, including 5 extra base hits, as the O's had a home run, a triple, 3 doubles, and 5 singles, and the O's drew 3 walks. And the 5-2 loss to the Padres on Sunday afternoon, the O's were bad offensively, just 2 runs, just 1 walk, 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, 10 strikeouts. So the O's did have 10 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 8 singles, but the O's struggled against Padres starting pitcher Walker Buehler. He allowed 1 run in 5 innings with 5 strikeouts versus no walks. Going back to Gunnar Henderson, so a pretty good series for him. He was the Orioles starting shortstop and number 2 batter in each of the 3 games in the series. The 7-3 win over the Padres on Friday night. Henderson got on base 4 times. He went 3 for 3 with a solo homer, 2 singles, and a walk. Did get thrown out in an attempted steal of second base. The 9-3 loss to the Padres on Saturday, Henderson went 0 for 3 with the walk and the now famous hit by pitch. And the 5-2 loss to the Padres on Sunday afternoon, Henderson went 2 for 4 with an RBI single and another single, although he did commit 2 errors. But hopefully Gunnar Henderson is getting going. The O's desperately need this guy to get going. He, for this regular season, has an OPS of 715. Number 1 among qualified Orioles players in OPS for this regular season is Pete Alonso at 808. He had the 9-3 loss to the Padres on Saturday as the Orioles starting first baseman and number 3 batter went 3 for 5 with a solo homer, an RBI double, and a single. He continues to do well. The Orioles starting pitching in the team losing this 3-game series against the Padres at Oriole Park at Camden Yards over the weekend was mixed. The 7-3 win over the Padres on Friday night, Shane Baz was so-so at best. He allowed 3 runs, 2 earned in 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, which were 2 doubles and 4 singles, issued 2 walks and a hit by pitch. He recorded just 1 strikeout. He threw a lot of pitches as he over his 5 innings threw 103 pitches, 62 strikes versus 41 balls. Shane Baz now in this regular season, 14 games, all starts, ERA of 4.06, whip of 1.39. The 9-3 loss to the Padres on Saturday, Trey Gibson got ripped. He officially allowed 6 runs in 4 and a third innings. He gave up 3 hits, which were 2 home runs and a single, issued 5 walks and a hit by pitch. Did record 7 strikeouts, but all of that added up to him over his mere 4 and a third innings, throwing a whopping 93 pitches, just 53 strikes versus 40 balls. So the O's this past Monday afternoon, June 8th, announced having recalled Gibson from AAA Norfolk, marking the 4th time since May 3rd that he had been promoted from AAA Norfolk, and he hit the major league level in this regular season, has struggled 5 games, including 4 starts, ERA of 5.91, whip of 1.59. The O's have starting pitchers Chris Bassett, Zach Eflin, Dean Kramer, and Cade Povich on injured lists, and so That has meant that Trey Gibson has been making major league starts when he is not ready to be making major league starts. And the 5-2 loss to the Padres on Sunday afternoon, Trevor Rogers was good for a second time in 3 outings off having been bad in each of 7 consecutive outings. He allowed 2 runs in 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, which were a double and 4 singles. He issued 2 walks. He recorded 4 strikeouts, threw a lot of strikes, 82 pitches, 55 strikes, just 27 balls. And Rogers in the top of the second allowed 2 runs, but was done dirty by some bad luck, including a 2-out RBI double by Rodolfo Duran on a 1-2 pitch on a ball that went off the second base bag and into right center field. The double per StatCast had an exit velocity of just 73.7 miles per hour. Some bad luck there for Trevor Rogers. We are seeing progress from him, though his stats for this regular season do remain quite bad. 13 games, all starts, ERA of 5.86, whip of 1.45. And the Orioles relief pitching in the team losing this 3-game series against the Padres at Oriole Park at Camden Yards over the weekend. Good in game 1, but bad in games 2 and 3. The 7-3 win over the Padres on Friday night, 4 Orioles relievers, Anthony Nunez, Keegan Aiken, Yadier Cano, and Andrew Kittredge combined for 4 scoreless innings. Cano was especially good. He tossed a perfect top of the 8th with 3 swinging strikeouts. The 9-3 loss to the Padres on Saturday, 2 Orioles relievers officially combined to allow 3 runs in 4 2/3 innings. Keegan Aiken officially tossed 2/3 of a scoreless inning, but he and the Padres' 2-run 5th issued a 1-out walk and gave up a 1-out RBI single and a 1-out RBI sac fly. And Albert Suarez allowed 3 runs in 4 innings. He gave up 3 solo homers. And the 5-2 loss to the Padres on Sunday afternoon, 3 Orioles relievers combined to allow 3 runs, 2 earned in 3 innings. Rico Garcia allowed 2 runs in 1 inning. Garcia, in the top of the 7th, issued a leadoff walk of Will Wagner and gave up a 1-out 2-run homer by Rodolfo Duran to left center field for a 4-1 Padres lead. The homer went a projected 432 feet per StatCast. Anthony Nunez tossed a scoreless top of the 8th despite issuing a walk and giving up a single. Yadier Cano allowed 1 run unearned in 1 inning. He did record 2 strikeouts. The O's in the top of the 9th committed 3 errors in the Padres scoring 1 run. But the Rico Garcia situation is worth noting here. The Rico Garcia carriage is turning back into a pumpkin. This guy had been so good, but he now, over his last 4 games, has allowed 5 runs, 4 earned in 3 1/3 innings. No game for the O's on Monday. Next up for them is a 9-game road trip out west, beginning with a 3-game series at the Seattle Mariners. The O's have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1, Tuesday night at 9:40, Brandon Young. Game 2, Wednesday night at 9:40, Kyle Bradish. Game 3, Thursday afternoon at 4:10, Shane Baz. And that'll do it for you and me for now, but there's more to come. Tuesday's show, episode 1348, will have plenty for you on the Washington Commanders as they on Tuesday are beginning their 3-day mandatory minicamp. Also on Tuesday's show, I'll talk Washington Nationals. The Nats are home to the Kansas City Royals Monday evening at 6:45 for Game 1 of a 3-game series. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday.
No days off.